this session, I request everyone to kindly mute their mics and not present or share their screen. If there is or questions, please type in the chat box. We will take them at the end of the session. For the session to be more interactive, it is suggested that all of you keep your video cameras open if possible. Now we begin. Success does not come from what you do occasionally. It comes from what you do consistently. Greetings to one and all present here. On behalf of Entrepreneurship Cell DRC, I, Brinda Gupta, welcome you all to one of the most awaited speaker sessions. eCell DRC is an organization working to promote the startup ecosystem in the society and enable youth of the country to take up challenges and establish world-changing companies. I would like to call upon our convener, Mr. Nitish Kashyap, Assistant Professor, Economics Department, to introduce our honorable speaker for the event.
Nitish sir, can you hear us?
Yeah, I wasn't able to unmute myself, so now I'm able to unmute myself. Okay, thank you, Rinda. I welcome you all for this evening and for the webinar conducted by the eCell. And today we have with us Rama. Gaurav has an illustrious career and a brilliant profile. He finished his engineering from NSIT Delhi, then he went for an MBA at Ahmedabad, and he began his career in 2005 working for Microsoft. And since then, for more than a decade, he continued working with startup ecosystem, especially in the areas of educational technology and financial technology. As of now, he is the senior vice president looking after the growth segment of Pine Labs, and he has his, you can understand from his work and his profile that he has a rich experience looking at the evolving market dynamics and the business dynamics.
To please share your journey from being an engineer to being a scaling startups in one of the biggest companies.
Yes, sir, I will just unmute you.
Hi. First of all, thanks for having.
Sir, you're on mute.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir, you're completely.
Okay, finally, thank you. I was trying to unmute myself, I was not able to do it. So first of all, thanks for all the kind words. I'm not sure whether I deserve them or not, but it's a privilege to be here, and I hope I learned something from you guys, and I could share what my journey has been. I think the question that you asked was that how my journey has been, right? If you can repeat the question again.
Yes, sir. Could you please share about your journey from being an engineer to being scaling startups in one of the biggest companies of the world?
Right. I think even the engineering journey was interesting. I think I did my computer engineering back in 2000. I started in 2001, 2005. That is when I did it. These were the days when the world was different. And I know it's just has been 15 years, but we didn't used to have smartphones. We didn't used to have Facebooks, Instagram, WhatsApps of the world. I still remember going to a cyber cafe to download some stuff, check my email. That used to be Reddit mail that point of time. And then we had a Gmail that came into it. The first growth hack that I saw, that you can only have a Gmail if somebody who has a Gmail can invite you, right? And that's why there was a sense of losing out, right? So that's why we all started using Gmail and stuff. Computer science was taking it was looking like these jobs will come and they will just make everything redundant. And it was an exciting time, and that's when I started doing computer science. I got one of the best jobs on campus in terms of I got at Microsoft. I was working on Windows, which was again Google wasn't that big, so Microsoft used to be one of the best employer at that point of time that you can get as an engineer, and working on cutting edge stuff. And the truth was, while from a tech guy, whatever I could have asked for, I had it in Microsoft. I was more of a people person. I was good in tech, but that's not what I was deeply passionate about. I wanted to interact with humans. I wanted to solve their business problem, not just through coding, but also to understand many ways. And that's why while I worked there, I enjoyed. I would say that Microsoft during those days, at least, you should treat you guys as a children, right? I think that's the best place to work for. Um, One of the smartest people I would have met in Microsoft, not in IMA, not anywhere else. I think one of the smartest people, not maybe the people who could be very good in communication, but one of the smartest brains that I've met. It's just that my heart lied somewhere else. And then I did my MBA. Post that, I wanted to go into finance, but it just saw that the 2009 crisis happened and all those things. And then I one thing led to another. Initially, I got into strategy. I did partnerships for a while. Got early into the startup ecosystem. Right, I think I've seen startup ecosystem evolve in India. Right, when taking funding was difficult, there was not many players who were doing it. I think I knew most of these investors from early days. And then then how the big unicorns and now the decacorns started coming, right? And part of have been privileged and lucky enough to see the journey of some of the something like Paytm, which came from uh, I'd say when I joined 20 million users to 400 million plus users. So I think I've been lucky in many ways that I've witnessed the journey and I've been able to contribute that way. If I look back in 2005, I thought 2001 was I thinking about a career like this? Not really, but it's just that things evolve. The ecosystem is evolving, and I just try to make the best use of whatever opportunities were available, and that's brings me here. Hopefully, there's long way still to go, and I'm hopeful of that. Yeah.
Yes, sure, sir. Thank you. The next question is, since you have worked in many top organizations of the world, what made you prefer one over the other? What other factors should be considered as us youth while choosing an organization?
I think I have a very simple answer. To this, right? I think in a job when you're trying to, at least in a younger years, right? Not just when you're young, but at any point of time, either you are learning or you are earning. If nothing is happening, I think you should quit. I think that's something which is not in line of mine. I think I would have read it somewhere, but I think that's a very smart decision. Initially, you should always optimize for learning. Go towards a job, go towards a sector where you think you can learn it the most. Try to go into sunrise sectors, which you are hopeful that they will grow in future. Because see, at one point of time in early 2000, telecom was a sunrise sector. Whoever got into Airtel, whoever got into Vodafone, they grew, right? 2015 payments were the sunrise sector, right? Whoever got into Paytm, PhonePe, they kind of grew. So you have to identify and sometimes go into the right sectors because that's where the money is, where the brain is, where the right smart people are working, and you are able to learn a lot from it, right? I think once you have spent enough time in this ecosystem, then you should start optimizing for earning. But initially, you should be optimizing for learning. Um, Try to go in fact in nowadays it's not you're not typecast. You can always explore other roles, right? Startup lets you do that, right? If I would have been in your place, I would have tried doing, as I mentioned, right? I've done strategy, I've done partnership, I've done marketing. Now I'm doing product plus marketing based growth, right? In many ways. So try do, and I've been an engineer also as technology. So I think you try doing stuff, you figure out what your heart beats for, and then you scale it up, right? That's what I would suggest. The
Thank you,
last
sir.
thing you want is that you're 10 years down the line, you realize this is not what I want to do. And that is also okay. But ideally, in the first couple of years, you should have tried multiple things and figured out what exactly you want to do. I guess you guys have even better things, right? I think a lot of internships happen right now. I would strongly suggest, I'm sure you guys must be doing it, do a lot of internships in different sectors, different kind of functional areas, and see what excites you most.
Thank you so much, sir. Talking about field, how did you discover your passion towards the field and what extra efforts you put in to accomplish it?
I think I love learning. I think that's something which has been uh, uh, the closest to my heart is as long as I can remember. Right, I was never studying for marks. I was always studying for because I wanted to learn. Right, and when I become passionate about something, I become curious about it. I start learning more and more. So I think a lot of this happens by getting into getting into the stuff. Like, let's say you said how you choose the field, right? I think you have to experience it, right? So you can do as much research as you can, but when you do actually work in that field, then you realize whether this is something which I want to do or not. Now, this could be something which is like full-time work. This could be part-time work. This could be something which I'm doing as a side hustle. So I think there's in my career, you see a lot of companies, but the truth is there are so many companies I would have also been working in parallel, like starting my own. It's easy right now to create a page, create a website, run some ads, see how people are responding to it, how what's the business. So if I see a business problem, any problem that I see in my life, I try to think how can I solve it, and I try to create a page out of it, web page out of it, run some ads and see how it is going. And then once you like something, right, it's more like love, right? You can't hide it when you have it, right? So once you feel passionately about the field or passionately about something that, let's say, this is what I was born to do. There are some people who are amazing in social media and they love it, right? And you can see it because they put their heart, soul into it. The only thing is they have to be given an opportunity, and sometimes you have to take that opportunity. So trying multiple stuff. So let's say if at some point of time, if you can want to get into a field, right, and you are not able to get it, but nobody stops you from doing an internship. Don't forget about it. You still have to do it. If you can't do an internship, nobody stops you from having a small side hustle around it and learn more and more thing about it. It's just that you have to do something. I think your plans, actions, they have to lead to actions. That is how I go about it.
And could you share a piece of advice you received in your initial years of working, which really helped you?
I think I will tell you. There are multiple things. I think I've been I've been privileged to have worked with one of the smartest people around. Right. One, and I will try to share few of them. In Microsoft, I think and I was good in coding. That's why I got into Microsoft. I think initial first call that I had was a Microsoft employee, and he was in US, and I think he was a pretty senior employee, and my boss just asked me to go there, right? And he asked 10 questions from me, one after another, and I could only answer, I will get back to you. And that's not embarrassing. The embarrassing part is at least half of them I didn't even understand what exactly he's asking. Right? And I went back and and I discussed this with my manager. Right? I, I had no freaking idea. I mean, I used to think I'm good in this stuff, but I have no freaking idea what this guy was saying. Right? I think one thing that he said to me that's a good thing that you are not trying to bluff it. Right? Sometimes when you don't know it, accepting it and is only the way you will start learning something. If you understand there's a gap in your knowledge, you will try to fix it. If the fact that you can understand a gap is a testament to the fact that there is enough base that you can identify gaps. If there is a valley, you won't even understand the gap, right? So one thing is it's important, it's smart to accept that you don't know something, and then you try to figure it out how to fix it. Another thing in startups that I've learned, I think the first startup that I had, I wanted to do things sequentially. Like let's do this and let's do that and then let's do that and stuff. Um, I think someone told me that it's sometimes better to fail fast. You try all what you have, and that's the beauty of startup, right? I think these are like learning in on steroids, right? You try to do multiple things to make it work. And sometimes it's better to fail fast. There are startups which fail after 10 years, 5 years. It doesn't make sense, right? You fail fast, failure is not something to be ashamed of. You will figure out a way that doesn't work, and then you will figure out ways that will. So I think that's a very valuable lesson that I learned from it. One is again on the humility part of it. You don't know about it, accept it to yourself, accept it to others, and try to learn it. Second, don't be afraid of failure. Just fail fast. It will only help you succeed.
That's a really good advice, sir. Thank you. Despite the disruption to the economy caused by COVID 19, India houses the world's third largest startup ecosystem. Do you think that it will bring a real change, and what will its impact be in coming years?
I think COVID has been great for some sectors. Honestly speaking, if you look at edtech, forget about edtech, right? I think this year there have been 32 unicorns in India. And most probably we'll make more unicorns in India this year than like summation of them till date, right? Um, if you look at edtech, I think edtech finally people have woken to Indian edtech, the kind of potential it has. There are 2 million plus teachers, 90 million plus students in this country, right? And the kind of funding it has got, the kind of traction it has got. There's Bajus which were doing fine, which have raised fund, Unacademy. There are people like Whitehead Junior. I'm not a strong advocate of what they are trying to do, but at least they have there are so much interest in edtech. There are B2B players such as Class Plus. There are B2B players such as Teachment, which are now for $500 million of valuation. I think what has that led to is that a lot of smart people are coming into education. So I think COVID has provided a tailwind, right? Because there was no other way. You had to study online, and that's why tech became popular, right? Fintech again, there was a lot of people were paying through. Um, the cash was again demonetization has already. There was a huge jump that it provided to fintech, but I think post COVID has also been really useful. There are some industry which have really gained a lot. There are some functional areas which have really gained a lot, right? I think digital marketing, it's difficult to hire digital marketer now, right? Product managers were difficult to find a year back, but now digital marketers are difficult to find because everyone knows the importance of digital, right? Everyone knows that irrespective of who you are spending your time digitally. I know for sure even truck drivers, right? They consume content digitally. They consume YouTube. They will maybe the kind of content they watch is different from you, right? But they are definitely consuming YouTube, right? They're spending a lot of time on WhatsApp. They use voice messages for communicating, right? Because they're driving and stuff. But everyone, like the guard on your if you live in a high rise, right, the guard in your society, that guy is using a lot of digital content. His child is studying digitally through a virtual class, right? The truth is, it's a disruption. There are some uh, there are some sectors which have taken a hit. Travel had taken a hit. Hospitality has taken a hit. There are some sectors which have grown like anything. The world has changed. The world has woken to digital, and there will be huge impact of it. It like any disruption, it helps some people. It doesn't help some people, but overall, it's creating a lot of opportunities. Regarding Indian startups ecosystem as such, which you mentioned that is behind only China and US, I see a lot of potential here. Bangalore has become a startup hub already. I think there will become like Delhi NCR will also become soon, and still as more money. What should I say? Trying to solve problem of India. I think I'm really bullish on Indian startup system. I think ecosystem is going to evolve like anything else. This year has been exceptionally beautiful in terms of the number of unicorns that have happened, the fact that Zomato IPO went well, Paytm IPO is expected to go well. There is a couple more IPOs planned. I think Oyo is planning an IPO, Ola is planning an IPO. I'm sure that Moving is planning an IPO. So I think this is only going to be good for the whole startup ecosystem in India.
Thank you for the insight, sir. Next, being the ex-vice president marketing of Paytm, what is your opinion on how the marketing strategies of these big companies are different from medium and small-sized companies? And what is the key that other companies can learn from?
Okay, so I have been part of the journey actually when Paytm was a small company and then Paytm was a bigger company, right? So I'll tell you what happens when you are small, right? You're trying to optimize spends, um, and you have investors, you have a board who is also looking for that. Okay, if I've spent X rupees, what exactly I got for that bang for buck? So a lot of money goes into performance marketing. Once you're big, right, and you are looking. Whatever you could have acquired through performance, you have acquired. Now you understand that you have to expand the category itself. If post demonetization, if I wanted to acquire more users for Paytm, I had to expand the number of people who actually do digital transaction itself. Whatever was online, I would have captured them all, right? You have to invest in brand. The good thing is you have money for it, right? You have money that you can spend for brand building, for bring masses. The truth is that you have to expand in category, right? Smaller companies, on the other hand, if you're competing directly with a big player like Paytm or Payjuice and stuff like that, it's better to identify a niche where you can differentiate yourself. It's better to focus your energy uh, on let's say I identify a niche, right? I will say that I'm focusing only on college students that I'm going to launch an app, right? Then how to market out to them in the most cost effective manner. You can't play the same game a big guy is playing because it's just not logical enough, right? You have to choose your battles. You have to choose the right positioning. If it's typical marketing term, if you have to use the right archetype for that thing. You have to choose the right customer personas, and you have to choose the right channels, which maximizes your potential for gaining traction in those areas. Once you grow and once you are big enough, then we can again fight that battle. But it's not smart to take any big player headlong. It's just you just have too much muscle power and you will get lost, right? You have to be smart. That's what I would say. So I would say you have to play chess sometimes. You have to play the Chinese game that you have to play, which is even more strategic. I think Sun Tzu used to advocate of that. Go, right? I think you have to play that sometime, but yeah, you cannot fight a bigger opponent with the same strategies that a bigger opponent is using.
Talking about choices, how important is it to make the correct choices? And is it true that one wrong choice can disrupt your path of career?
Not really. I would have made many mistakes in my life, honestly speaking. Professionally, I would have made many mistakes in my life. I know for sure many people who have made even more mistakes than me who are doing well. Uh, I think this whole thought process around being extra cautious, I don't think that's the right thing to do. And I think the present generation is actually bold enough to realize. And that's again go back to it, right? Failing fast is actually a good thing. Uh, the more you fail, you will realize what works, what doesn't work. It will give you actual guidance when you're doing it. I think risk taking is going to be an important aspect for success. And when I say risk taking, it automatically means there is a good chance of failure that could happen, and that is fine. That is completely fine. Once you have, once you've graduated from good colleges, like you guys are doing, right? There is enough safety net to figure out something. Don't be afraid of failure. Don't be afraid of making any bad choice because see, whatever is safe is something which has been tested and tried before, and obviously there is lower chances of having a breakout success there. Whatever is risky, where there is chance of failure, there is higher chance of making something huge also. I give you an example. Uh, uh, when I joined Paytm was a small company. Uh, it was doing mobile recharges. It was not small, but it was doing mobile recharges and stuff. Nobody could have visualized where it has come from, right? Nobody could have visualized. I think one of my friends, she joined Beju when she was pretty young. I think second employee of Beju and started something like that, top 10 employees of Beju, first 10 employees of Beju. Now, there is a risk to it. There are many companies which I would have joined companies which never took off, right? Uh, and you would not have heard about them. But then one of them would, and that's what it takes.
Thank you, sir. And since you talked about safety nets in colleges, what do you think a right role does right education and institution play in the life of an entrepreneur?
I think from an institution perspective, the biggest thing that they provide is peer learning, whether you have that kind of network that you can reach out to in future for professional reason, personal reason. You need a sounding board at some point, right? You need to share your views with some people, and colleagues are good to an extent, but I think college students are amazingly great if you form that kind of bonds, right? For sharing that part. Professionally, also, if you have good institution on it, right, I think this provides some kind of a uh, some some signaling to some people that you're good and your ability to take the risk becomes much more higher because even if things fail, you can still find out a very decent outcome for yourself. It also helps you in raising funds, which is also important. I'm not saying that you can't raise funds without credentials, but if you look at the people who have raised funds, makes jobs slightly easier. In terms of learning, I would say there's one learning that the curriculum provides. There's other learning that you can. I think in today's age, if you want to learn something, you can learn anything on YouTube. You can try something. You can always have Facebook ads, Google ad running, and stuff like that. So I think learning you should try to maximize as much as you can. Not be dependent on the institution. Like take internships, whatever is required. Have real life learning experience as much as possible.
Thank you, sir. And could you share some experience of your college life? Were you part of any club, any internship you did? Sorry, sir. Am I audible, sir?
Sir, you are not audible.
I think there's some network connection issue. You're not audible, sir.
Guys, I can't hear you guys if you are asking a question.
Actually, sir, you weren't audible. Now you are. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. I was not able to hear your question. Yeah.
I was asking you to share your some experience of college. Were you part of any club like ECEL, any internship you did?
I love theater. I was part of the dramatics clubs in IMA. I've done theater a lot. I love theater actually. I still keep on. I don't act now. I do watch plays whenever I can. I think during the COVID days, this has been the biggest moment for me at least. I'm less of a movie person, more of a theater person. But I think that's something which I'm missing. I loved reading. I think that's something which I still do. I still have 5 books in front of me. Two have come today morning, and so I always have something to read. And whatever fascinates me, it need not be something related to what I'm reading. I think it could be philosophy, psychology, uh, astrology, history. I read a lot of history. I think there's a lot of stuff um, which is there, which has happened in the past, and just learn from. Um, I read mythology also. I think reading is something which I love. I used to be fan of Urdu Shari during those days. शायरी से मोहब्बत थी, थिएटर से मोहब्बत थी. अब आज की not much that has left now, but yeah, that's where it is, right? I think it's important to do multiple things. I think it expands your horizons. I definitely believe that. I spend a lot of time with friends. I'm still in touch with few of them. Uh, Most of them not in India, but whenever we get a chance to get in touch. I think it's better to expand your horizons, have multiple experiences, read multiple things. That's whatever. If dance makes you happy, please do that. If art makes you happy, please do that. For me, that was theater.
We hope you get back to your passion of shairis and theatre, sir. So, all these years, who has been your role model or an inspiration? Is there any professor or any superior to look upon to?
I think there are many actually. I think there was one teacher I remember from my undergraduate years. I think Shampa Chakravarti, which was something which I really admire. Um, Being fortunate enough to work under a lot of great bosses. One of them was again a senior from my college in PTM. He was a CMO when I joined. Shankar was an amazing boss that I worked under. So, see, you learn from everyone, right? And whoever, even people who are part of my team, I learn from them also. If you really want to learn, you definitely would figure out the ways to learn. It's important is with some people you have a relationship which is less of an employer, yeah, less of a teacher student. It goes beyond it, right? There are some teachers I used to have dinner with also. I still remember that. I think back in Lambay also I used to houses, have dinners and stuff. It's just that how many people you can make human bonds, right? And what you can learn from. I think you can learn from anyone. You should learn from anyone, and especially your teachers. Right? I have not been in touch with a lot of them. That's unfortunate, but yeah, I do. Yeah.
We totally agree, sir. So, what has been your experience in the work field with your superiors, with your boss? What kind of equation did you share?
See, it will change, and I think nobody can predict the kind of boss that you will get. Right? You will have good bosses. You will have good bosses also. That's life, and it's a learning experience. You should just take it. I have had amazing bosses. I think one of them I mentioned, Shankar, was an amazing boss at PTM. There was another company I worked, which is now acquired by Blackstone, which was Simply Learn.
Recording in progress.
Which was Simply Learn, which was I think
Recording stopped.
I think the recording.
Sorry for the disturbance.
Yeah. So there was Krishan Kumar, which was an amazing founder. You might not have heard about him. You would have heard about Vijay a lot because I think he's much more successful. But yeah, I've been fortunate enough to work under some. There are some bosses which motivate you uh, to do beyond, learn, and go beyond it. There are some bosses you get inspired looking at them, that what they have achieved in life and how they're achieving it and the passion and stuff. There are some bosses whom you have personal bond with, and let me be honest, there will be some bosses you will not get along with, and that's okay. That's fine. As a professional, you have to ensure that whatever you're doing the best of your ability. And again, going back to that statement, if you are in a workplace, you are either learning something, you are earning something, or hopefully both of them. Uh, if nothing is there and that's going to happen for some time, you should always look for something else. You are not married to a job. You're you're married to your career. You are in charge of that career. How to take it forward. Don't be very like लकीर के फकीर मत बनिएगा कि ये करना है, because the truth is the kind of job that existed when I graduated are very different from the job that exists now. People have made money in places which were considered who will make money in these places. I think design was not something which people were thinking that people will be rich. Look at NID graduates now; they are doing amazing. Look at people who have made money in IPL. So don't chase money; just do what you want to love, and then take things will be like this again going on. There are new jobs coming. This will be there's a lot of upheaval that will come to keep on coming. So it's important that whatever you're doing it for the right reason. That is something that you enjoy doing, and be take take control of your career. Right at every point of time, you think something is not right for you. You have no obligation to be there. I think you will only be happy. You have to only have obligation towards yourself.
Thank you, sir. Also, since we know that branding is very important right now and every company wants to stand out, so what do you think is the right way to do it? And is there any right way?
There are right ways. Actually, branding hasn't been done through the right way. There are very smart frameworks that are around for branding. I think the first thing is that you have to understand uh, uh, consumer personas. Which consumers are you trying to reach out to? Then you have to figure out what kind of personality that your brand has. If let's say, hypothetically, if I'm saying this for Baju or anyone, right? How would Baju look like in person? How would Baju talk? How would what would be his tone of voice? What will he say to Vrinda or Parna or PJ, right? So something of that sort. So you have to, because humans understand humans, right? Your branding is for people to talk to. You should be talking to them in terms of people. And there's something brand archetypes. You should definitely Google it and figure it out what exactly that happens, and then you should go ahead for it. Unfortunately, what happens is most of the people who have a lot of money around it also have very high targets, very big targets, and you want to make things quickly. Don't want to invest a lot in finding these things. You want to try it out, and sometimes the brand personality gets made something else, and you thought of something else, and once it is in the mind, so it stays. It's there in your mind, right? You have a very visceral feeling about when you think about an apple. You have a visceral feeling that for Coke or Nike, um, which could be proven through, I think, if you attach some electrons to your brain, right? So something of that sort, right? But once it is positioned, it is positioned. It's difficult to reposition it, right? So it's important to establish your brand in the right way, and sometimes it takes patience to doing it. There are very scientific, there are scientific frameworks around how to do it the best. Sometimes because of the paucity of time, we don't end up doing like that. But there are ways to doing it. Branding applies to companies, branding applies to people. How you brand yourself, and that's going to be important, because if you don't brand it, somebody is branding you, right? For sure, right? In many ways. So you have to consciously do it. As and again, coming to the same thought process, even if you're doing it, who is your customer? In many ways, who is the somebody who you want to reach out to, who has some stakeholder in your life? What are their personas? What do you stand for? And then how will you communicate? In many ways, you can make your digital brand around it. You can make your whole career around it. That's how you.
Thank you, sir. I'm sure our students will learn from your persona. Lastly, question before we move on to audience questions. You have achieved so much, worked in so many companies. What is your motivation today to wake up and do all the hard work? What drives you?
I hope there's not much to be achieved. Actually, honestly, that's human spirit, right? The reason we have evolved from monkeys, and I believe in evolution, right? And because we have come to the place where we are ruling this planet. Let me say this, for good or bad, is the fact that we are always trying for more in many ways, right? I think that one should always have goals around it, which they want to achieve, and then the goals will keep on getting updated. Having said that, personally speaking, I have always focused on learning. As I mentioned, I think for me it was never about marks, and I mean it. My parents never asked me about it. That is also good of them. I don't remember ever my parents were concerned about what I am, what kind of marks I got in which class and stuff, whether I was doing fine, I was not doing fine. They were completely okay with it. I'm not sure if it was the right thing to do, but that's what they did to me, which basically meant that I studied what I wanted to study. I read what I wanted to read, and even now, if I do wherever I believe I'm learning something, and I'm honest, I'm learning something, I'm making mistakes and learning something. I think for me, I joined a logistics startup also for a while, right? When I had to reach out to truck drivers and truck owners and stuff, which was very different experience, right? I've not done that. I think these are not the kind of people that I understand. Forget about marketing to them, right? So each opportunity gives us something to learn, and that's what I want to take it. That's what I want to do. Uh, in terms of ambitions, I think there's still a lot of things that I want to try. Uh, hope, hope that I do a good job in at least attempting that. And that's what I'm trying to do.
Yes, sure, sir. Moving on to audience questions. The first question is, why don't companies hire undergrads for the post of marketer, like the major ratio is of MBA students?
I, I believe that will change. And I will not give an answer that will be something which you might like or not, but something which I believe which is going to happen. There are going to be far more psychology majors who are going to be marketing rock stars because of the fact that marketing is about human psychology, right? Unless I can empathize with you, um, there's no reason that I will do it. I believe if uh, I have to look at hiring again, I think some sense. So there are some specific roles that you hire for. I think digital marketing is something that people will keep on hiring for the next couple of years, that is what I believe. But whether it's digital marketing, whether it's offline marketing, whether there is product also, honestly, I believe people who are coming from uh, non-technical background, non-MBA background, even so, especially psychology major. I'm a very huge fan actually of psychology. I've been reading psychology since I was a kid, but I think that there's a demand for it. Humanities would also there will be. I think once when I was growing up, there was only one thing, right? I think either you become a doctor or you become an engineer, right? Now that has changed. That has changed dramatically. I believe that will also change going in future. If you look at Silicon Valley in US, right, I think a lot of amazing rock star marketers, a lot of amazing rock star product people, business people come from humanities background. Um, let's say it's a good thing if I have four people in my team and one of them is from humanities and history and stuff because they can bring diverse perspective. And I think diversity will be valuable going ahead. So I definitely feel that.
Thank you, sir. Also speaking about fields, what are your thoughts on AI? Is it a necessity of future or evil in disguise?
See, I've grown up with this, right? I think computers will come and they will destroy every job and are in those kind of days. The truth is, obviously, some jobs have been automated, but there are more jobs which have come. I think most of the jobs that now require computers and something, right? That kind of basic knowledge, right? The truth is, 30 years from now, 20 years from now, most of the jobs which require manual effort will go. I think skills for future uh, are slightly higher order thinking. I think in terms of creativity, in terms of communication, in terms of analytical thinking, which cannot be given to anybody else, right? And it's less to be afraid about something. It's more about right? adapting to change, like predicting the future and planning for it. I would suggest that if I would have to teach my kid coding, I would not do that because I believe 20 years from now, coding would be very plug and play. But I would definitely teach him or her public speaking because that is something which would still make sense. I would definitely teach him storytelling because that's a skill that nobody teaches you. You definitely should need. I will teach him financial management. Nobody teaches you to do that. I think that those are skills which will still remain. I think it's lesser. These are disruptions that come, which help some industry and doesn't help some industry. But that's how life is, right? If you would have grown, I think when I grew up, there was a lot of tailors around, right? I don't see a lot of tailors around in my life, right? I think most of them are pre-order from Myntra or somewhere else and which come, right? That profession has taken a backstage. So many new professions now which were not existing before, and that's how it's going to happen.
Since you talked about safety nets, is it something that holds us back from going one extra mile?
See, I believe they help, definitely help, but I have seen people with 200 CR of net wealth and being looking for a safety net. It also boils down to a person. Will you take a risk also? And I know such kind of people. I know that people who need a safety net at that point also. But having some sort of safety net helps because if you are, let's be honest, we are fortunate and we are lucky. There are very many smart people in this country who do not have the kind of the possibilities that we have, who have to look for their day job earners and they don't have the safety net. For them, it's a real thing, right? Who will get the food tomorrow if they get into something which is say startup? Uh, Most of us, I hope, have that kind of stuff and the education, that stuff, that safety net happens. I know people who come from very humble background, who worked for some time, and then they got into startup and started doing something because they had that safety. It could be different for different people. I also come from a very fast background. Both my parents are teachers. So, I'm seeing what you're saying, but I do understand I would be luckier than many other people. So having a safety net helps. Yes, it does. Yes, yes. Are there stories of people having adequate safety net and not doing something about it? Yes. Are there people who having most of safety net and still making it big? Yes, we have it.
Thank you, sir. Also, since you mentioned you do extensive reading, is there something you suggest us to do along with our studies that will increase our productivity?
See, I have read things which I love, honestly, right? And I think this is something which I go by. I've read a lot of psychology, which has helped me. In any ways, I never planned to be a growth person or a marketer person, for which consumer language is going to be important, but it has helped me. I would say try reading multiple things. It's a good thing to have. And whatever you feel passionate about, as I mentioned, right? Don't read something because somebody has advised you to do it. Read it because you like doing it. It's a short life. Uh, every second that you are investing, be very cognizant of it. You are young at that point today. Your time is much more valuable. I'm not saying it won't be valuable 30 years from now, but you will miss this. Like you would have heard it before. I'm not told, but I will still say that. Uh, I still regret the fact that any time that I missed at that point of time. Try to read multiple things, see what sticks to you, and then take it ahead. If I have to say something, I think I would say thinking fast, thinking slow. That you should read. Um, I'm a big fan of this motivational books. I'm a big fan of psychology books. I do philosophy also. I think meditations. Uh, this is a nice book that you have. I think I would suggest rather than forcing something, I would suggest that you read a lot of stuff and see that you.
So, sir, all these years, is there any book which really motivated you, or it's always your go-to book?
I think when I was growing up, when I was at your age, I think As a Man Thinketh by James Allen is something which I was really on a very small book, 50, 60 pages as a man thinketh. And I think it has been the foundation of most of these self-help books. There's Think and Grow Rich. There's and so many others which has come to that part of it. So I would strongly suggest that. There is meditations by Marcus Aurelius. That is again which I would suggest, which is more around philosophy. It just teaches you to not be happy when you're in your victories and not be sad in your losses in some sense. Most of the philosophy books come to distill down to this. Somehow this is which I've read Gita also. I've read different religions. I've spent a lot of time understanding different religions. So, but this is something which I go back to. As a man, think it is a good book. I would strongly recommend it.
Thank you for the suggestions, sir. Be sure we read all of them. Since in companies, interview is a very big step to clear, do you have any interview advices for all the students here?
I think I would have an advice. I would used to be very active, like very interested, and with practice you become better at it. So I think you should practice. But the larger advice will be uh, the God greatest gifts are unanswered prayers. So don't be very hung up. Okay, this guy got into the best job. This guy got into the ITs or the IMs of the world and stuff. This is what I wanted. Trust on some higher purpose where life is taking you. Do your best in whatever interaction you can, right? I think if that doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. There's nothing to, there's no reason for comparing yourself to someone and stuff like that. Give your best in everything. If you go with that kind of mindset, that will help. Be honest with yourself. Forget about anybody else. Be honest with yourself, with what you want, why you want it. I think there's a 5 why kind of a test which you whatever you want to do, just think about why. Just keep on asking why. When you get the gist of it, what exactly is the real motivation for why you want it? I know you will not follow it, but try to not get to the rat race. I was also part of the rat race, and I also wanted to do the master rat. That is also what I do. If looking back, I'm not proud of it. I should not have done that. People advised me. I still say they don't understand where I'm coming from, and I'm again giving them the same advice. I hope one of them listen to it. Most won't, and I'm fine with that.
So, lastly, we have one more question. What do you feel about the state of incubation centers and accelerators in India?
Honestly, some of them are doing a good job, decent job, but most of them are not necessary. I think um, the startup ecosystem in India has evolved. Um, there are, if you are an upcoming entrepreneur with just an idea, you can apply to Sequoia Search, you can apply to Axel Atoms, you can apply to YC Combinator in the US, which will give you money, which will give you good network. Um, if there is an incubator which is helping you do that in return for equity, slightly taken aback for it, not be very proud of it. Um, I would evaluate in that sense at how many previous companies of previous batches have done well in terms of raising funds. Where are they now? What kind of support will they provide? Right, monetary support, or whether it will be helping with the networks, helping with the connections in which they connecting me to potential buyers of my product and stuff. So I will look at that. Right, I think so I would say I have a very mixed feeling about it. There are some incubators who are just not adding a lot of value here because the ecosystem is evolved. You don't need them to reach out to mainstream investors to raise funds. If you have a good idea, kick-ass idea, honestly, let me know about it. Honestly, I can connect with people. Forget about me connecting with people. Investors want to get in touch with you. Even I'm not getting nobody's doing it. Right? You have a good idea, reach out to people. There are many these big Axel, Sequoia, YC, we don't need them. Um, if there must be a good one also who can help, but if they're asking for an equity attached to it and stuff like that, maybe it's an individual call, right? To each his own.
Thank you, sir. Lastly, because of very good engagement, did you ever feel that there are too many things on your plate and everything is equally important? So how did you manage your time and prioritize your things?
There is always trade-off. You will always lose something. That's the beauty of it. If you are on the path of being the emperor of the world, that's not going to happen. You will have to choose, and that's why it's important to knowing yourself, right? What exactly you value the most, right? Uh, the last thing you want is you succeeding in your career to figure out that you have lost on your health, and all you wanted was a fun life which you can't have now, right? Don't do that. Know that everything comes at a cost. There are trade-offs. That's the only thing that you have to learn. That's the only thing that I can give it back to you. There are trade-offs. You will not win everything in life. You would have a colleague who got really rich. You will have a colleague who is still healthy, and when you are 70 or 80, is still doing amazingly well. Uh, and you can just optimize for like few things. You cannot optimize for everything. So be very sure of what you want to optimize for, whether that's money, whether that's personal life, whether you want to have a very loving family, whether you want to have a healthy body and stuff. And once you have optimized for it, then be aware that there are trade-offs. And once you are optimizing for the things that matter to you, there will be people who will be the faster rat in the rat race. That's okay. You are not going to win in everything. 16 कला संपूर्ण सिर्फ भगवान कृष्ण थे, हम नहीं हैं, we are mortals, and that's the beauty of it.
Thank you, sir. So what are your last words of wisdom you would like to give to all the budding entrepreneurs?
I'm not sure if there's a words of wisdom, I'm not, but I'm jealous of you guys. You guys have much more opportunity than I had when I started, and I think so, because in terms of knowledge, I used to go to Delhi public libraries. I don't know whether you guys go to library. I just used to spend half of my time in library. I think people used to joke, right, back in IMA also, that I'm found more in library than in my dorm room, right? I don't need to do that. I think everything at your fingertip. Now, whether you use it for watching cat and dog videos, I do that. I watch it. I love dogs. You can do that, but or you want to do it for learning something, that's up to you. How you want to utilize your time. Raising money has never been easier. Trust me, 10 years back it was not easy. It's not been easier. Uh, there are so many. I think people have this perception that all the big problems have been solved. People had this perception 5 years back also. They will have this perception 5 years from now also. And there will be unicorns getting formed every day. There are practically in India, unicorns are getting formed like left, right, center. I'm sure some of you might also be unicorn founders one day. I hope I am also, but it might be possible. You are also for sure, for sure. So I'm jealous of you guys. I think rather than listening to people like me, you should start getting on, start doing something about it, right? This huge opportunity you have.
Thank you so much, sir, for dwelling into so many areas and guiding us all. I'm sure that your journey and your experience will bring enthusiasm and drive all the budding entrepreneurs here to achieve greater heights. The team of Entrepreneurship Cell DRC extends our gratitude for sparing your time and enlightening all of us. We hope to see you soon.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, sir. It was wonderful session.
Thank you.
I would like to thank the very talented team of eCell and our convener, Mr. Nitish sir, without the efforts and hard work of whom the event would not have been a success. We thank our college for giving us this wonderful opportunity, which will definitely benefit each and every one of us. Last but not the least, I would like to thank all the audience for joining us and making the session lively and interactive. We request all of you to drop your feedbacks and suggestions in the chat box. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, guys. Bye.
Have a great day, sir. I would repeat, I would like everyone to please drop your suggestions and feedbacks in the comment section. Thank you.